I finished Daughters of Bronze, which is the sequel to Horses of Fire, and I'm telling myself that I'm ready to talk about it. The reason I say that is because literally writing the notes for this video, my eyes were tearing up. So I am 100% sure that they will also tear up through this video, but please pretend like that's not happening. So obviously I cried while reading the second book, and that to me makes a book top tier. Normally, if something can make me like cry, like actual tears coming out of my eyeballs, it automatically makes it to the top of my list. So now this duology is on my like top 3 series of my life just because it made me actually cry. And it shouldn't be surprising to anyone who knows a little bit about Greek myths. And I'm gonna attempt to keep this as spoiler free as I can. I will spoil a little bit about the myths because the myths are the myths and they've been out for many years. So if you don't want to know like anything, then maybe keep scrolling, but I will attempt to keep it spoiler free on like the differences on the books and the myths as much as I possibly can. So anyone who knows the myths knows that Hector dies, and it is a horrible death, to be completely honest. And I knew that was coming, obviously. So when I read it in the book, that was the thing that really got to me, even though I knew it was coming. And it was even worse than I thought it was going to be, because the little twist that the book gives it is that there is a reason why Hector does certain things in the battle, and that he knows that he's going to lose. And he could have won if he hadn't made the choices that he did. But again, those choices were made for a reason. And that got me even more choked up, because I thought I already loved Hector and that it was going to be hard to watch him die. But knowing that if he would have made different choices, he could have lived, and he made those choices out of love, just destroyed my heart even more and made me love him even more, which I didn't think was possible. To be honest, Hector is probably one of the only men in Greek myth that are actually good and don't hurt like the people around them and tries to hurt the least people possible, even though he is a commander of a war. But you know, he does his best basically. And it's so hard to see like that specific character that you know has always tried to do his best, like not succeed, even though I knew what was coming. So that made me very choked up. Something I did want to add is that the book doesn't really change the outcome of anything, because I mean the story is the story, right? That it's a retelling, but we're keeping with what happens in the myths. But it does add like more context to certain things. And though those things don't actually change the outcome of the story, it changes your perception about people and the characters and the overall myth. So I really enjoyed that. But it also means that obviously, you know, this is basically a tragedy, right? Like nobody of the characters are going to have a happy ending that are in the Greek myth. So Cassandra, Andromache, Helen, they have the endings that they have, right? And they're not good endings. So it's at the end of the book, you're still sad, because especially if you know what's going to happen next. But there is a layer of like hope that isn't in the myths, because there is a slight change that again doesn't really change the outcome of the war or anything like that, but adds like a spark of hope to both the reader and then the characters. And I also really enjoyed that there's a little twist on the death of Achilles that made a lot of sense to me, and also made me look at one of the characters differently in a positive way. So honestly, I really enjoyed this, even though I said I cried. To me, that is part of the enjoyment, to be completely honest. If a book can bring me to tears, even though I know exactly what's going to happen, I think that says a lot about the writing and how good the book is. So I would 100% recommend this duology, especially if you are a Greek myth lover like I am. If anybody reads this that knows nothing about the myths, I would love to hear your perspective in the comments, because I assume the experience is very different, but I just can't fathom it because I have read so many retellings. These stories are just such a core part of who I am that I just can't even put myself in the mind space of someone who doesn't know what's going to happen.